What it do, my people? This is OrdinaryFellowJ Unchained, and we are back again for another episode. And I have with me today my friend, one of my brothers, OrdinaryFellowJ. How you doing, man?
Yo, I'm all right. All right, got some sore neck, but I ate good today, and nobody's dead, so we good.
Awesome.
We good. We got blessings on blessings on blessings.
That's right, man. So today we have another plot armor episode. Have to put an S on that. That we're going to cover a very special person, a person that's been engraved into pop culture for decades, one that will likely outlive the both of us, and that was also here before we came. Likely. It's very, very possible. We're talking about the one and only.
You just made me sad.
Now, I'm just being real about the situation, man. It's most of these characters will outlive us all. I'm talking about the one and only, the Dark Knight, the world's greatest detective, the Batman. We're going to talk about... No. Batman.
Batman.
We're talking about the Bat. So we're going to deal with three different areas: his character, the impossibilities of situations around him, and then plot conveniences. Each one of these are tied into how his plot armor dictates that he survives. So we're going to jump in here, and we're going to start with character. And Ordinary Fellow, you can unload. But so here's a question. Here's a question.
Yeah.
What about Batman Bruce Wayne's character has shown you that he has plot armor?
Well, I mean, we can. There's a lot of stuff on there. So
there's lots of meat on his bone.
Yeah, there is. I mean, we could hit his wealth. Billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne. We can hit that. We can hit. We can come at it from the angle that his title as the world's greatest detective. How somehow that's a qualification to prevent Darkseid from destroying our universe. Because ironically, he's like the world's greatest detective, but the Sherlock Holmes doesn't exist in his universe because he's not a better detective than Sherlock Holmes. He's not a better detective than any of the characters in Sherlock Holmes. He's not better than Moriarty. He's not better than Irene Adler. He's not even better than John Watson in terms of like deduction. Like, but that's saying a lot because Watson is cool. He's not a master detective though. So like,
but Watson was smarter than the average bear though. Like that dude wasn't a slouch. So
no, he wasn't a slouch.
He was just standing beside Sherlock. So it's like it's the functional Toyota. It's the functional Toyota Corolla sitting beside a Bugatti. It's like both of them are great cars to have, but it's the Bugatti. So that's the situation that Watson was dealt in that particular moment. That's the reason why people think that Watson is not intelligent. I'm like, you sit him beside the most intelligent man in a room, and you act like he can still have a conversation with Sherlock Holmes and understand what Sherlock Holmes is saying. You can't. So it's like, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's attack his money. Because I feel like Ben Affleck, I know that folks have feelings about this, but Ben Affleck, Joss Whedon, when asked what his superpower was, Batman said, "I'm rich." And And if we think about it across all the universes, for the most part, with the exception of when Batman is just a rogue element that murders, which he is in many of those universes, he's just a rogue element who basically is a MacGyver. Because he's not rich in every universe. Some universes he's actually piecing stuff together and he's just murdering.
Yes,
like he wasn't rich when when he was like Russian Batman, Red Star Batman. He wasn't rich. But he made use of everything he had in order to be the murderer that he became.
Oh, he was a dog murderer.
He was. And so Batman's not always rich, but most of the Batmans are rich. But none of the Batmans are rich enough to be who Batman becomes and to contribute rich enough to contribute to those universes, the things that Batman contributes. He's rich, but he's not rich enough to be the world's best detective. You see what I'm saying? Like, we can't verify. He doesn't have enough money to have acquired the education to have better genes. Like, do you realize that 90%, I mean, like 95% of the deductions that Batman comes up with, for the most part, are just a reasonable everyman consideration? Yes. Like, anybody who's hanging out with superheroes, hanging out with a lot of other superheroes who have checkered paths, and you're supposed to be like the sponsor or whatever, you start thinking about severance packages, like how I'm going to handle them. So if you have a lot of time to yourself and a computer and a laptop, you can come up with contingency plans to deal with some of these crazy people.
Yes.
Like, which is what he did. That's regular stuff. If I'm around thugs and gangsters that I love, I'm always prepared for the day that they're going to turn against me, and I might have to get out the hammer and deal with them. Batman's making logical, regular man, decisions there. That's not world's smartest detective decision. But what validates it is this money that we don't know where it's coming from. That allows him to be able to do these things.
Yeah, you can tell that his character was written by people who have never been rich. Or I mean, I'm just being real about the situation. It's like, no offense, I'm just saying it's straight up fantasy, which is fine because it is a fantasy. But after a while, you begin to ask questions, and the entire thing just begins to fall apart. Because so as a part of his character, like you were saying about the college, like how he's never been to college, he's never actually sat down and really studied like science and things like that with other people. He did martial arts and thievery and things like that. We know that from backstories. That he lived in the streets for a while in multiple countries. I think that Nolan actually touched on it. He's the only one to touch on that, which I give him props for that. Like, actually showing Bruce Wayne in a position where he had to steal, which was actually a part of the backstory they gave Bruce Wayne when he was out, like that. He had to steal. He had to learn how to think like a thief, how to process things like a thief. So that was an aid for him when he came back to Gotham, so that way he would know the rhythm and flow. But Batman, Bruce Wayne, how do you get these science degrees? Where you get these science degrees to be mixing deadly chemicals in an isolated place without no prior knowledge of anything? There wasn't no YouTube. There wasn't no YouTube. There wasn't no instructions. There was no skill share in a Batman universe. How did he figure out? Where is the scientific know-how coming from for him to figure out the molecular composition of Clayface to be able to kill Clayface? Put together a solvent that will keep Clayface from being able to become a solid piece, keep him from controlling his molecule. Yes. Batman, you just got a concussion and some broken ribs, and Alfred just patched you up without taking your cowl off. Don't know how that happened. You're somehow able to limp over to the vacuum cleaner, scrape off some Clayface on the bottom of your boot, and come up with some recombinant DNA type stuff like that, so you can go back and, when you had in round 2, destabilize that sucker so he can't become, can't control his shape anymore. So you didn't learn that in college. So and on top, so to add more fuel to that, I've seen people use the argument that says, hey, well, Alfred, comes with a wealth of knowledge, him being, ex-military and special ops and things like that. Alfred had they really could pull an Alfred series. Alfred is an interesting character, but Alfred is not that smart. He's not a rocket scientist. Which 90% of what Batman does is rocket science. Like the bat plane. That is literal rocket science. The bat plane is rocket science. You know that the bat plane can achieve escape velocity and get into space, right? Yes.
That's rocket science.
Yes. But he learned it on YouTube. Just like he learned it on YouTube and Skillshare. Shout out to Skillshare, they're phenomenal. Let me sponsor you, by the way. So sponsor me, sponsor me. But just processing. Yeah, I was like thinking about that. I was like, there's no way this man could have had these situations just set up where he just knew this information. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to build this jet. And I'm going to have all these parts shipped to my house because he's having it shipped to his house. Let's not get this twisted. They're like literally plane parts being shipped to Wayne Manor. Cowl pieces being shipped to Wayne Manor. You know, and I remember in the Nolan did his best, man. He did his best to make this as real as possible. And I remember in Batman Begins when they were doing the cow bill. And he was like, like these things are fragile. He like took a hammer to it. And he was like, yeah, it's a good thing that I ordered like a couple 100,000 or something like that. He was not to raise suspicion. And I was like, that would be mass suspicious to me. You know what I'm like,
military grade stuff. Yeah, you just ordered a whole bunch of them. Nah, you
just going to Gotham, the crime center of the entire United States of like DC. You know, it's like why in the world is like 10,000 of these pieces that can literally maim and kill somebody going to one location in Gotham? And nobody flagged it. Nobody flagged it. The power of money. Like I said, he's rich. You know, so you know.
I felt like to the genius aspect, Nolan has been the most charitable to the Batman character with that by compartmentalizing the genius aspect into Lucius Fox.
Yes.
And then taking the time to show you that. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Because like there's no person who's a molecular scientist who's as good of a boxer as Batman. You can't be that good at boxing and be an astrophysicist, rocket scientist, molecular gas. You know,
the possibilities aren't impossible now. I'm not gonna throw that. Like there might be a percentage of
to be as good as Batman.
Okay,
Batman with the right suit on, Batman can box and win anybody in the universe. There's actually. Can you think of a single person who has ever if he had like the right equipment on, has ever outboxed Batman in the DC universe? No, there's nobody that outboxed.
No, there's not a single person alive that can outbox the Bat. Let's just be, and that's a part we'll get to on plot conveniences. But yeah, you know, like processing the character, like you said, the rich situation. So I'll throw one at you that I always like found interested in no kill rule. You know, which has been one of my major gripes. You know, we've talked about this multiple times on Enigmas Unchained, but now we have a focus. Like this is a focused, you know, kill shot to the Bat right now for the plot armor situation. You know, so Batman, you know, lost his parents when he was young to gun violence, right? He goes away for many years. Thing is like sometimes it's 7 years, sometimes a decade, if you're depending on which comic book area you're looking at. And he goes away and learns all these particular skills from multiple people. Some say League of Shadows. That was like Nolan's interpretation. Others actually had him literally going through 6-7 different countries and learning martial arts from the best masters on the planet. And he comes back to Gotham with a weaponized suit. Let's not get it twisted here, okay? A weaponized suit. This suit can kill. Let's not.
He's like the electric shredder.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. He's the electric shredder. You know what I'm saying? Like then think about this now. He has batarangs, right? The batarangs are sharp. Like we've seen them stick in the walls. Like, and I always had a problem with this, just to be honest and real. Whenever you watch movies and stuff like that, he'll throw like a batarang and it sticks it to the wall. But when he throws it at a person, just slaps him in the face, like it's kind of like just has a rubber corner on it for some reason when he throws it at him. And I'm like, okay, no. Like the same velocity that you threw it at the wall, it's the same velocity you're throwing at this man. This dude should be dead. This is practically a shuriken. There's no way you could spin it outside of that.
It's not practically. He's a trained ninja. It is a shuriken. It's a shuriken that has been cut into the shape of a bat. You need to come correct with that. That's exactly what that is.
Okay, all right. So it is a shuriken shaped like a bat, and he has deadly accurate. He's deadly accurate with the batarang, and he aims.
Batman never misses. Has he ever missed in any comic, any cartoon? No, never misses.
I've never seen Batman miss a batarang throw. I mean, I've seen people absorb it and it blow up, or they break it when they catch it. But I've never seen him miss.
Or they deflect it or something like that. But he never misses.
You know what I'm saying? Never misses. Now we miss when we play Arkham Asylum in City.
all the time.
It's a lot. We miss a lot.
And that's a video game with a targeting system.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and that's a now you, and it's so good in the game that all you got to do is just hit R. I think it was R1, something like that, R1, R2, and it just you just hear people just getting knocked off. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know it was a dude over there. You just throw the batarang and the dude just but my beef is that why in the world does the batarang always land on a smooth side when there isn't one on a batarang? At the velocity that he's throwing with, it can like literally go into concrete. What the world is human flesh? It does not make sense. It does not make sense at all.
Warm butter.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't make sense at all to me. I'm like, if you're gonna come correct about this, let's just talk about every weapon. So all right, so we talked about the batarang. Now let's talk about the grappling hook. The grappling hook is gas powered and it has a freaking claw on the end. And you're telling me the only thing.
Sometimes it's like in different versions of it. In some universes and some timelines, it's a batarang at the end of it.
It's a batarang, yeah.
Sometimes it's a claw.
So I want you to process this now. Just process this, right? So we have a situation where this dude is running away, and Batman pulls out the grappling hook, right? And he shoots it at the person's leg, and it wraps around his leg. No. This is supposed to go in this dude's leg. This is not.
Should tear his leg clean off. Depending on the distance, it should tear his leg clean.
It's gas powered.
Clean off. It's
shooting at the speed of a bullet. You know, like people always forget that like these things are gas powered because it has to be strong enough. It has first the cable has to be strong enough. The grappling has to be strong enough to pull a grown man, you know, from one point to another. Like think about the air that Batman gets when he like pulls on the grappling hook. How fast he can pull him into the sky.
And the hook has to be able to carry the cable through wind shear and anchor securely. so it means if you aim that at a person, it's gonna blow a limb off. Like it's not gonna defy physics and wrap around him. If you aim that at a dude's calf, it's gonna blow his calf right off, and he's gonna bleed to death. Like he doesn't have enough money to afford the technology.
The precision of that
to create stuff that can capture people.
The precision of that is literally impossible. I mean, how many of the cartoons have we watched where I can even give you the timber sound because I've been watching Tim Burton's Batman. You know, which is
I can hear it now.
To me, the best Batman ever done is Tim Burton. I mean, it's leaps and bounds better than everything else. Even the comic books that I read. I mean, no offense, but his Batman was the only Batman you could actually like have sympathy for because he wasn't the most intelligent. Yeah. It was wholesome.
He wasn't, but he was wholesome. It was the most wholesome Batman. And apart from Tim versus Batman, there is no wholesome Batman. He's the only one. He's actually the only one that is wholesome.
Facts. I mean, like the fact that like thinking about how he sat with Ace until her death. Thinking about how especially in the animated series, there was so many different episodes based like Tim because Bruce Timm is a very big fan of like the 30s and 40s, 50s era of like comic books. So there's a lot of that 30s, 40s, 50s atmosphere. You know, like the one with the gray ghost. The like Mr. Freeze, which I always have to remind people like Mr. Freeze was literally a Bruce Timm creation. The comic books had a Mr. Zero, which was a trash character, and and Bruce Timm took that trash character and gave us gold with Mr. Freeze. You know, like so. Yeah, but let me get back to Trash Batman because I don't know if I get on a tangent on how because like the thing that saves him is his villains. That's what saves him because his villains are so dynamic. That they're just so great to follow, you know, and they have such great motivations and but back to the Bat. So we got this situation where the Bat literally has like he's throwing, like say in the Tim verse, you know, and then it wraps around their legs. And like I said, and it had a batarang on it. Like the one in the cartoon had a batarang on the end. You know, so I'm like, but it doesn't cut their legs. I mean, this thing literally can be thrown into concrete and dent concrete and go into the wall. And you're telling me that for some strange reason that it just can't do that to a human. Like humans are just immune to the Bat.
Even if you could somehow, like to keep it a buck, even if you could somehow, with all that money, figure out a way to take a cable with enough tensile strength to stop a grown man to actually follow the arc of an actual boomerang to go in a circle like it should, by the time it has made enough revolutions around the person's leg to actually to sort of lock, as it were, by that time it's going to cut their flesh when it makes that final loop and it actually slaps on.
Yeah.
It will. And again, that's a shuriken in the shape of a bat.
Yeah.
Like something that is sharp enough to cut steak. You know.
So think about this, like the speed at which it took for it to loop is the same speed that has to stop. Something has to be like either stronger to stop it, like at least the flesh or the stone or whatever, it has to be strong enough to actually make that energy stop. And it's like for some reason they just lock up in the back and then they just fall over and they scream, "Help! The Batman! Oh, they're back!" So I'm like, but you should be dead. I mean, you should be. You should
be like seriously. You should have a wound. You should either be missing that leg or you should be so wounded to where your death is imminent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The plot armor on Batman is so thick that it protects the villains. That's how thick the plot armor is. Because like literally think about how he fights, right? He fights with his elbows and his knees, Muay Thai style. And most of the things we watch him in, he has his arms up because he's fighting with his gauntlets. And he's like literally like pulling their limbs down to meet his knees to do facilitated like focused breaks on bones that cannot be rehealed. Like so for an example, because we talked about this on another episode as well. So let's say Batman is like just scrapping with a dude, and the dude punches at Batman, and he locks the dude's middle forearm, like just a forearm now, and he breaks it in the middle of the forearm in like 2 or 3 places, right? What people normally forget is that bone shards exist.
Yeah.
They exist. Now, given a break that bad, bone shards can actually pierce blood vessels and veins and all the rest, and can even get into your bloodstream and tear up your heart. This has happened to people, right? So why in the world? Batman's talking about breaking every bone in people's bodies, right? Like that's a very popular thing, that Batman talks about. When he did with the Joker killed Jason Todd. They talk about how he broke every bone in the Joker's body. And I'm like, okay, look. You can't break all the bones in this person's body. Leave them unattended for like 9 hours and expect them to just stay alive without that being like literally irreparable damage.
Let's keep it a buck. With cartoons, with anything that's aimed at a viewer that is younger than 18 years old, a bone break is defined by, it's basically a hairline fracture.
Yes.
But the kind of techniques that, it's basically where the break is completely clean. There are no shards, which can happen. You can get a completely clean break, and it's also possible, But what Batman is doing is creating deliberate compound fractures where it's supposed to create bone splinters. It's supposed to penetrate skin and flesh. It's supposed to tear muscle. He's basically, the way he injures them, you're supposed to never fight again, let alone, you won't even like lead a regular life again. You're going to have nerve issues. Like you're done. Your career, you won't be able to work anything manual anymore. You're done.
But here's a
caveat.
He's
ruining your life. To box with the bat is basically to say, I want to be a paraplegic.
but here's
I want to be a paraplegic or a quadriplegic if I fight the bat.
That's it. But here's a caveat for me though. So you're fighting the bat normally at night in an area that would be classified as like a Chi-town or a Michigan. Like just the construction of how Gotham City looks. It was based on Chicago, I believe. And in the cold of Chicago, right? So just process this with me. You're gonna fight the bat in a place that gets like -19 on certain parts of the year. So a normal night could be like freezing. And you're gonna go out there and box the bat in a freezing cold and get your behind thrown into some water and get your bones broken when you can't call for help. Basically
because the bat lynches you. Because you remember he'll hang you from a fire escape or from a lamppost or something like that. you know I'm telling the truth. Batman breaks bones. Spider-Man restrains you. Batman breaks you and then hangs you from some place.
But at least Spider-Man he wraps you up in web that can keep you warm, because that's the whole point of like spiders wrapping their food.
That's what I said. I said, Spider-Man, he'll injure you if he has to, but for the most part, Spider-Man always tries to restrain.
Yeah, he
that's
restrains
always what Spider-Man's about. Batman don't restrain nobody. No. Yeah, Batman don't restrain anybody first. It's always harm first, then restrain. It is. It's always harm first, then restrain. It's never gentle. It's never gentle.
Absolute facts. I mean, like literally the Batman rollout. He's
lynching you.
Yeah, the Batman
That's a lynching. That's what's happening there.
Yeah, like the dude dropped the crowbar to get into his own car, and the Batman swooping down. It's like dirty criminal. Take these hands today. You know, these bat hands. He just come down, just break every bone in the sucker body, and string the sucker up on a light pole. You know, it's just some of the most dirty and heinous. God dang, Batman.
I'm sorry. When I really ponder the physics of that, I'm like, I'm a black man. That's a lynching. That's what's happening right there. You beat a man and then you hang him up someplace. Like
these suckers are literally
Batman lynches.
These suckers are literally hanging in the sky for like 8 hours. I mean, yeah, like because like, you need
with a broken body.
Broken body. Broken. God damn it, man. I'm saying it doesn't make sense that like these people survive, and the fact that he takes his silly self home and says, "Oh, well, you know, I didn't kill anybody tonight." Batman, really? Are you sure about that?
And see, here's the worst thing about this to me. Let's say it's true. Let's say the plot armor is removed, and let's say he is so rich and so skilled that he does manage to create a non-lethal situation, and let's say his lynching rope is insulated and it allows them to be able to survive the harsh, winter nights and stuff like that. These people go back to crime after they get out of rehab.
Like Batman has to keep his supply chain.
Do you know anybody, including any gangsters that you know, that after being lynched, they're gonna go back to the same hood and do?
No, absolutely not, man. I know cats that like just get a knife board on them on one block. They were like, nah, bro, it's time to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like it ain't got nothing to do with how quote unquote gangster you is. You know that's stuff we made up. But you know, like dudes are smart. They're like, man, nah. When we see us like getting to this point, we got money. We getting out of here. You know, so I mean, like in most of these cats, let's keep it at 100 for real. These dudes, like I think CJ said it best. You know, like shout out to CJ from Bills about him. He may come on. We don't know yet. We'll find. We'll see. And we'll see after a while. If he don't, it's all good. But he will always talk about how Batman targeted minorities. He always talk about that. He like Batman targets minorities. And then you play a video game, you like, God dang. It's like,
he's not wrong.
Every face I was punching was a black man. I was like, God dang. I was like, well, dang, this is messed up. I can't play this game to say.
Like he beats on people of color and poor people. Because when you think about it, the people who catch it the worst from Batman aren't usually not even the supervillains. The people who catch it the worst are like these in desperate straight poor Italian thugs, somebody out of a Goodfellas movie. You know, right. And it's not even like the boss. It's always like like the grunt. Hey Louie, go rob the liquor store.
Go get the liquor store. I need a couple $1,000. Go figure that out, Louie. All right, boss, I'll go over here and get it real quick for you. Oh man, it's a freaking bag. And then it's over. It's over.
He will run a world star fade on Louie. and then he'll catch Mario and drop Mario off of a building from 3 stories up. Collapse Mario's knees into his chin. Batman is brutal. Batman is brutal.
Oh my goodness! Like now we think about it, Warcraft's Batman is always Batman. It's just the way he is.
Every Batman is Warcraft's Batman.